What's good, sneaker community? It's your guy, the regular guy, Sneakerhead, and I want to speak on the Air Jordan 11, but more specifically, the Air Jordan 11 Columbia or Legend Blue that recently released for this holiday season. Now, if you've been watching any of my videos and reviews, then you know when I talk about a shoe, I like to give you facts and history and a little bit of the backstory on that shoe. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first Air Jordan 11 to release was the Concord, and it released in November 1995. It was followed by the Air Jordan 11 Columbia in February 1996. The Columbia 11 first debuted on the feet of Mike during the 1996 All-Star Game. When it originally released, the 11's price was $124.99. There were 3 OG colorways of the mid and 2 colorways of the low top 11. But the low top 11 then wasn't the low top 11 we now all know and love. No, that version didn't release until the year 2001 when the 11's first retro. The OG low that released in 95-96 was actually the International Edition, or what's now known as the low top IE. When the 11 first retroed in 2001, there were 5 colorways of the mid. There were also 8 colorways of the low top version that we now see as the low top 11 and not the IE. MJ first wore the Air Jordan 11 on court during the NBA Finals, Eastern Conference Finals against the Orlando Magic. At the time, the Air Jordan 11 was just a prototype, and he had even been told specifically not to wear them yet. But as we all know, this is something this Airness did a lot, and that's wear shoes before he was supposed to. He later was fined while wearing the Concords because they didn't conform to the red and white uniforms color regulations. The cool gray 11s are said to have been inspired by the gradients of gray in the side of the Air Max 95 Neon. The Space Jam colorway of the Air Jordan 11 at the time was featured in the Space Jam movie, and only 5 pairs were made just for Mike for that movie. Now, later on, those pairs were sold for a lot of money, and you may not know about it, but Project Blitz, who got raided not too long ago in LA for supposedly having some stolen sneakers, had a room that had like $10 million worth of PEs in it, man, and exclusive shoes. And they had a pair of the actual worn Space Jam 11s from the Space Jam movie. Now, the Space Jam 11 wasn't actually released to the public until almost 4 years after the Space Jam movie came out when the Air Jordan 11 first retro. The first time MJ actually saw and tried on the Air Jordan 11 was way before he wore them in a game or before they actually came out in 1993. When Mike was first presented with the Air Jordan 11, he laughed and jokingly said that people would be wearing them with tuxedos. Little did he know that later on, R&B group Boys to Men would be seen wearing the Air Jordan 11 Concord with tuxedos at the American Music Awards. It's reported that Mike said he thought that Nike paid them to wear them, but Nike says, no, it's not true. Never paid them. They just wore them because it's the way they wanted to look. They liked it, and that's what they wanted to wear with the tuxedo. Who knows? Now, the Air Jordan 11, as well as many other Jordans, were designed by Tinker Hatfield. And Tinker actually began working on the shoe not too long after Mike retired from basketball the first time to go play baseball. He worked on it continuously, even in secret, because at the time, Nike didn't want to continue to make Jordan shoes because they didn't want to make a shoe for a player who no longer played. They wanted the Air Jordan 10 to be the last in the Jordan line. Tinker, though, always knew that the shoe could do more and always felt in his heart that Mike would be returning soon. So because of that, he kept on working on the shoe. Even when he thought Mike wasn't coming, he felt that Nike was wrong and that the shoe could still do so much more. He played with calling the Air Jordan 11 the Air Jordan Beyond. When he was designing the 11, he knew that Mike had been telling him for a while he wanted a shiny looking shoe that could also be worn formally. Tinker knew Nike needed to pull out all of the stops with this shoe. He wanted it to look like a shiny drop top car. He even considered a lawnmower while designing the Air Jordan 11. He considered using high-end nylons because he wanted to use a material never before used on a basketball shoe. He ended up settling on patent leather to get the shiny look, which was inspired by a pair of Japanese baseball cleats he saw. Fortunately for the patent leather, it's stiff, which would also make for plenty of support for a basketball shoe. The Air Jordan 11 ended up being the first basketball shoe to feature patent leather, as well as the first basketball shoe to feature a carbon fiber plate in the sole. The bottom of the shoe's patent leather, coupled with the nylon ballistic material in the uppers, make the shoe resemble the shiny body and the cloth drop top of the convertibles that inspired it. Finally, MJ came back, and the Air Jordan 11 was set to be the first shoe MJ would wear in his return to basketball. Now, like many people who own pairs of Jordans and collect Jordans and have worn and loved Jordans, the Air Jordan 11 is a lot of people's favorites. And guess what? It's been reported to be one of Mike's favorites as well. Let's get into the review of the 2024 Air Jordan 11 Columbia or Legend Blue. Right away, you see the label on the box. You see the top. Standard box that Air Jordan 11s have been coming in lately. Pretty much like the 7 all the way to 11 comes in these boxes now. And I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be like the OG box that those numbers came in, I think. But truthfully, I feel like for what this shoe is and what it stands for, and then the price that you pay for it, I honestly feel like it should be coming in those boxes that they were coming in back in 2014 when this shoe released, and when the Gammas came out, and the same box the 72 1011s was in. Um, the box when like 96 and 82 pairs came in with plastic shroud that you pull the box out of, and then the two-piece box, and it had like a more premium paper, and then it had the hard plastic shoe trees. I mean, they really did their thing on that box, man, for those shoes. And we understood, because of that packaging and presentation and all the premium materials in the box and the shoes, that's why it had that price tag. And so just because of that, I am a little disappointed in the packaging on this shoe. I feel like we should have got a box like that 2014 box they came in. Now, you see the paper. It looks like the carbon fiber on the bottom of the shoes. It's just not quite as thick and shiny. It's not as premium as it was in the 14s and some of the other releases that had those better boxes. You can see the shoe in the box, how it looks when you take the lid off the box. The Air Jordan 11 Columbia or Legend Blue 2024, whichever one you prefer to call it. Now, just getting to the shoe itself, this is the first Air Jordan 11 Columbia or Legend Blue mid that I've ever owned. Now, I had the low top pair that came out 2 or 3 years ago. I ended up giving those to my son, but I had those, and those were decent. But I never had the actual original, the mid. I always wanted it ever since I first saw the original one in '96, but I never had it. So this is my first actual pair to review and hold in hand and look at and see. So I can't really say what I think about materials versus other shoes because I don't know. I've never seen one of those really that close in hand other than the low top. Now, as far as the low top materials, these are uh, just as good to me. Now, we do know if I mean you do know if you've paid attention to any of the articles or videos or anything talking about this release that they do have a higher cut patent leather on these than a lot of other releases. But other than that, I mean they look highly similar. They're a decent looking shoe. To me, I wish it would have had a better quality leather. That leather could have been more premium. For instance, like the leather on the Gratitudes that came out last year, it was way better. The leather on the 7211s, 721011s, it was way better. So I do feel like for this to be a more premium price shoe, it should have had that better leather on it. I do feel that way, but I'm not complaining. It's cool. You know, it is what it is. Uh, Pretty standard Air Jordan 11 Columbia. From what I've been seeing, these didn't do too well, but us true collectors like them anyway. The bottoms is different on these. It is a more blue bottom, so it won't yellow quite as bad as the other ones do. See the Jumpman Jordan on the tongue, going across the tongue. See the bottoms. Thanks. These have a Nike Air inside of them. Sure the 2014s didn't. And then these do have the paper in them instead of those plastic shoe trees like the 2014s did and like a lot of the other Jordan 11s in the past did. Has the tag, quality basketball products inspired by the greatest player ever. I mean, again, it's pretty much just the standard Air Jordan 11 Columbia or Legend Blue, whatever you want to call it, man. It ain't bad. It ain't the best. It don't feature the best material in the world, but it definitely ain't the worst. The quality control on this one ain't too bad. It came from Hibbett Sports, not from Nike, but I ain't seen many defects on this pair here. I've looked at it pretty good. I ain't seen many defects on it, so I can't say that about it. But let me know, did you pick up a pair for this holiday season? Are you hoping to get a pair for Christmas? Did you pick up a pair for somebody else for Christmas? Is this a pair you're looking forward to getting that you don't have yet? Do you like the quality on them? Were your pairs QC good or did they have defects? Let's talk about it in the comments. Let me know all your thoughts on this and other prior releases of the Air Jordan 11 Columbia / Legend Blue. And I hope you all have a happy holidays. As always, thank you for watching and tuning in to your guy, the regular guy, Sneakerhead. Now, if you like the video, please smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed or followed, please do so. But most importantly, please keep coming back. And hopefully this won't be the last video you see this year.